Hey Pisces, I need you to sit down for this one because what I am about to share with you is something that has been building in the energy for quite some time now. You know how sometimes you just get this feeling that something is not quite right? That nagging sensation in the back of your mind telling you that certain people from your past are still somehow connected to your energy, even though they are physically gone from your life? Well, I have been sitting with your cards for a while now, and the messages coming through are incredibly powerful and honestly quite revealing about what has been happening behind the scenes with your energy. Before we dive deep into this reading, I want you to understand that what is coming through is not about making you feel bad or guilty about anything. This is about liberation, about finally seeing the truth of certain situations and people who have been draining your energy without you even fully realizing it. The universe has a way of showing us exactly what we need to see when we are ready to see it. And Pisces, you are so ready for this revelation. Your spirit guides have been working overtime to help you break free from these energetic ties that have been holding you back from stepping fully into your power. What I am seeing in your cards is a story about two specific individuals from your past who have maintained this connection to you, and not in a healthy or positive way. These are people who saw your compassionate nature, your willingness to help others, your empathic abilities, and instead of honoring those beautiful qualities, they decided to use them for their own benefit. And here is the thing about energy vampires, they do not always announce themselves as such. Sometimes they come disguised as friends, as romantic interests, as people who seem to genuinely care about you when in reality, they were just positioning themselves to take what they could from you. I am pulling your first card now, and I need you to really pay attention to what is coming through because this is setting the foundation for everything else we are going to uncover today. The first card I pulled for you is the Eight of Pentacles, and at first glance you might be wondering why this card is showing up in a reading about people from your past and karmic ties. But when I look at this card in the context of your situation, what I am seeing is actually a reflection of who you are as a person. The Eight of Pentacles represents someone who is dedicated, hardworking, someone who puts in the effort to master their craft and improve themselves constantly. This is you, Pisces. You are someone who genuinely invests in your relationships, in your personal growth, in everything you do. You show up with authenticity and you put in the work. But here is what the Eight of Pentacles is revealing about the situation with these two people from your past. They saw your dedication, they watched you pour your energy into building something meaningful, whether that was a friendship, a romantic connection, or even a professional relationship. They observed how much effort you put into things, how you never did anything halfway, and they made a calculated decision to position themselves in your life so they could benefit from all that hard work without contributing equally in return. Think about it for a moment. These were people who probably praised your work ethic, who complimented your abilities, who made you feel seen and appreciated for your talents. But looking back now with clearer eyes, can you see how they were also the ones who always seemed to need your help, who always had a crisis that required your attention, who somehow managed to benefit from your skills, your time, your energy, without ever really reciprocating in a meaningful way? The Eight of Pentacles in this position is showing me that you were so focused on perfecting your craft, on being the best version of yourself, that you did not immediately recognize how these individuals were studying your patterns so they could exploit your generous nature. What makes this even more significant is that the Eight of Pentacles represents mastery through repetition and dedication. These people did not just take advantage of you once. This was a pattern that repeated itself over time. Every time you achieved something, every time you developed a new skill or reached a new level of success, they were right there trying to figure out how they could benefit from it. They were not celebrating your wins because they were genuinely happy for you. They were celebrating because they saw an opportunity for themselves. The energy of the Eight of Pentacles is also telling me something really important about the nature of these connections. This card appears when someone is in their apprentice phase, learning and growing. These two individuals from your past saw you as someone they could learn from, someone whose energy and abilities they could tap into for their own advancement. But unlike a true student who honors their teacher, these people had no intention of giving you the respect or reciprocity you deserved. They wanted the benefits of being connected to you without having to do the actual work themselves. I am also picking up that one or both of these people may have actually mimicked certain aspects of your personality or your approach to life. The Eight of Pentacles can indicate someone who copies the techniques and methods of a master craftsperson. They watched how you moved through the world, how you handled challenges, how you built relationships, and they started imitating these things not as a form of flattery, but as a way to gain similar benefits without putting in the genuine effort. This is important to understand because it shows just how calculated their approach was. They did not stumble into taking advantage of you. They studied you, they learned your patterns, and then they exploited them. Another layer to the Eight of Pentacles here is about the value of your time and energy. This card often appears in readings about fair exchange and compensation for work done. The universe is highlighting through this card that these two people never gave you fair exchange for what you provided. Whether it was emotional support, practical help, financial assistance, or simply the gift of your presence and attention, you gave far more than you received, and they knew it. They absolutely knew they were getting more from you than they were giving back, and they were perfectly fine with that arrangement as long as it served them. What I find really interesting about the Eight of Pentacles appearing first in this reading is that it is also a card about focus. You were so focused on being a good person, on showing up for others, on doing the right thing, that your focus became almost like blinders. You could not see the full picture of what was happening because you were so dedicated to doing your part. These individuals took advantage of your focused nature. While you were busy being consistent and reliable, they were busy calculating their next move. The Eight of Pentacles is sending you a clear message, though. All that work you put in, all that energy you invested, it was not wasted, even though it feels like it might have been. You were developing your spiritual muscles. You were learning lessons about boundaries, about discernment, about the difference between genuine connection and manipulative attachment. Every interaction with these people, as painful as some of them might have been, was teaching you something valuable about protecting your energy and recognizing red flags earlier in the process. As I sit with this card, I am also getting the message that the universe wants you to understand something crucial. Your dedication and work ethic are not flaws. Your willingness to invest in others is not weakness. What these two people did says everything about their character and nothing about yours. The Eight of Pentacles is reminding you that your ability to show up consistently, to put in the work, to care deeply about doing things well, these are tremendous strengths. The problem was never you. The problem was that these individuals saw your strengths, and instead of being inspired to develop their own, they decided it was easier to just attach themselves to yours and drain what they needed. Moving forward, the Eight of Pentacles is encouraging you to continue being that dedicated, hardworking person, but with a new layer of awareness. You can still be generous with your time and energy, but now you will have the wisdom to recognize when someone is genuinely appreciating what you offer versus when someone is just taking advantage. You will be able to spot the energy vampires earlier because you now understand their playbook. They study, they mimic, they position themselves strategically, and they always seem to need something from you without ever quite reciprocating. This card is also highlighting that you have been in a period of mastering a very important skill, which is the ability to distinguish between people who add value to your life and people who only subtract from it. That is a skill that takes time to develop, and unfortunately, sometimes the only way to truly master it is through experiences like the ones you have had with these two individuals. The Eight of Pentacles assures you that you have graduated from this particular lesson. You are no longer the person who will unknowingly allow others to drain your energy. You are becoming the master of your own energy field, and that is incredibly powerful. Let me pull the next card because what is coming through next is going to shed even more light on exactly WHO these people are and what their intentions were towards you. The Nine of Cups just came through, and okay, this is fascinating because this card is traditionally known as the wish fulfillment card, the card of satisfaction and emotional contentment. But in the context of what we are discussing, The Nine of Cups is revealing something quite sinister about these two people from your past. They looked at you and saw someone who had achieved a level of emotional satisfaction and contentment that they wanted for themselves. But instead of doing the inner work to cultivate their own happiness, they decided to try and siphon yours. The Nine of Cups is showing me that these individuals perceived you as someone who had it all together emotionally. Maybe you seemed content with your life, satisfied with your choices, happy in your own skin. And this triggered something in them. Envy, perhaps. Resentment. A feeling of lack in their own lives that they projected onto you. The Nine of Cups appearing here tells me that rather than being genuinely happy for your emotional fulfillment, these people wanted to interrupt it, to disturb it, to somehow make themselves the center of your emotional world so they could feed off the positive energy you had cultivated. Here is what makes this particularly manipulative. The Nine of Cups person usually radiates a certain energy that attracts others. You are not trying to make anyone jealous or resentful. You are simply living your life, finding contentment where you could, cultivating joy in your own unique way. But to these two individuals, your contentment looked like an opportunity. They saw that you had emotional resources, that you had figured out how to be happy despite life's challenges, and they wanted access to that happiness without doing their own emotional work. I am getting very specific information about how this played out. These people likely came to you during moments when they were unhappy or dissatisfied with their own lives. They presented themselves as people who needed your wisdom, your support, your emotional guidance, and being the compassionate Pisces you are, you opened up and shared your light with them. You told them how you found peace, what practices helped you stay centered, how you maintained your emotional equilibrium. And they took all of that information, all of that generous sharing, and they used it while simultaneously resenting you for having what they lacked. The Nine of Cups in this position is also revealing that these individuals may have actively tried to sabotage your happiness, not in obvious ways necessarily, but in subtle ways. Maybe they would bring negativity into your space right when you were feeling good. Maybe they would create drama or problems that required your attention and emotional energy right when you were in a peaceful phase. Maybe they would invalidate your happiness by suggesting it was not real or would not last. The Nine of Cups reversed can indicate someone who tries to spill other people's cups because they cannot fill their own. What is really coming through strongly is that one or both of these people may have actually wished for the things you had. Not just material things, but your inner peace, your ability to find joy, your emotional resilience. The Nine of Cups is literally the wish card, and these people were wishing they could be you or have what you have. But instead of using you as inspiration to improve their own lives, they became attached to your energy in an unhealthy way, trying to absorb your contentment rather than generate their own. I am also seeing that these individuals may have love bombed you initially. The Nine of Cups can represent someone who appears to offer emotional fulfillment and satisfaction. They probably made you feel really good at first. They may have complimented you excessively, made you feel special and appreciated, created this illusion that being connected to them would add to your happiness. But that was just the hook. Once they had established the connection, once you had let them into your energy field, their true intentions became clearer. They were not there to contribute to your emotional well-being, they were there to consume it. The Nine of Cups is sending another important message. These people attached themselves to you during a time when you were actually doing quite well emotionally. This is significant because it means they were not attracted to you because you were vulnerable or broken. They were attracted to you because you were whole and happy, and they wanted to feed off that wholeness. This is a particular type of energy vampire that targets people who are doing well specifically because those people have more to give. Another aspect of the Nine of Cups that is coming through is about emotional satisfaction in relationships. These two individuals may have presented themselves as people who could satisfy your emotional needs, who could be the friend or partner you had been wishing for. They may have seemed like answered prayers initially, but the Nine of Cups in this context is showing me that they were mirages, not real sources of emotional nourishment. They reflected back to you what you wanted to see, but there was no substance behind the reflection. The universe is also using the Nine of Cups to show you that you have every right to protect your emotional satisfaction and contentment. You worked hard to cultivate that inner peace and happiness. You do not owe anyone access to it, especially not people who will only drain it without contributing anything positive in return. The Nine of Cups is reminding you that your emotional energy is precious and valuable, and you get to be selective about who you share it with. What I find particularly interesting is that the Nine of Cups often appears when someone has learned to fulfill their own emotional needs rather than depending on others to do it for them. You had reached that point of self-sufficiency, and that actually threatened these two people. They wanted you to need them, to depend on them, because that gave them power and control. Your independence and ability to find contentment within yourself was something they could not stand, so they worked to undermine it in subtle ways. The Nine of Cups is also telling me that moving forward, you will be even more discerning about who gets access to your emotional space. You have learned that not everyone who appreciates your light deserves to bask in it. Some people will only use your light to serve their own purposes without ever generating any light of their own. The universe is supporting you in becoming more protective of your emotional energy, while still remaining the warm, compassionate person you naturally are. Let me pull the next card because what comes next is going to reveal even more about the specific dynamics of how these people operated in your life. The High Priestess just appeared, and this card is absolutely loaded with meaning in your situation. The High Priestess represents intuition, hidden knowledge, and the subconscious realm. What this card is telling me is that on some level, you knew something was off about these two people from your past. Your intuition was sending you signals, subtle at first, but increasingly stronger over time. The High Priestess is the part of you that sees beyond the surface, that picks up on energy and intention, even when there are no concrete facts to point to. Here is what makes this particularly significant. The High Priestess appearing in this reading tells me that these two individuals could not fool your intuition, even though they may have fooled your conscious mind for a while. Your inner knowing, that deep Piscean psychic awareness, was picking up on their real intentions from the beginning. You probably had those moments where something they said or did just felt slightly off, even if you could not put your finger on why. Maybe you had dreams about them that were unsettling. Maybe you would feel drained after spending time with them, but you could not quite explain why, since on the surface, everything seemed fine. The High Priestess is revealing that these people were very aware of your intuitive abilities, and they actually feared them. They knew that if you really tuned into your intuition regarding them, you would see right through their facades. So part of their strategy was to keep you distracted, to keep you in your head rather than in your gut, to present logical explanations for things that your intuition was questioning. They gaslit your inner knowing because they understood that your intuition was their biggest threat. What I am picking up strongly is that one or both of these individuals may have even tried to make you doubt your intuitive abilities. The High Priestess reversed can indicate someone whose intuition is being suppressed or invalidated. Did these people ever make comments that suggested you were being too sensitive, too suspicious, reading too much into things? Did they try to convince you that your feelings about certain situations were wrong or exaggerated? That was deliberate. They needed you to distrust your own inner guidance system because your intuition was correctly identifying them as threats to your well-being. The High Priestess also represents secrets and hidden motives. These two people had agendas they did not share with you. They had reasons for maintaining connection with you that they never disclosed honestly. The High Priestess is showing me layers of deception, things happening behind the scenes that you were not aware of. Maybe they talked about you to others in ways that did not match how they acted toward you directly. Maybe they had plans involving you that they never communicated. Maybe they were using information you shared with them in confidence for their own purposes. Another crucial aspect of the High Priestess is that this card represents the veil between the conscious and subconscious, between what is seen and unseen. These individuals operated in the shadows. They did not make their intentions obvious. They were subtle in how they took advantage of you, strategic in how they maintained their access to your energy. The High Priestess is revealing that this was calculated behavior, not accidental. They understood how to work beneath the radar of your conscious awareness, while your subconscious was screaming warnings at you. The High Priestess is also connected to the moon and to cycles. I am getting the message that these two people would cycle in and out of your life, or cycle between being helpful and being draining, between being present and disappearing. This cyclical pattern was another way they kept you off balance, Just when your intuition would start to really sound alarm bells, they would shift their behavior just enough to make you question whether you were judging them too harshly. The High Priestess shows me this was a deliberate tactic to keep you confused about their true nature. What is really powerful about the High Priestess appearing here is that this card is ultimately about trusting your inner wisdom. The universe is confirming that every intuitive hit you got about these people was correct. Every time you felt uncomfortable or suspicious or drained, your intuition was giving you accurate information. The High Priestess is validating all of those subtle feelings and hunches you had. You were not being paranoid or overly sensitive. You were picking up on real energetic dynamics that these people were trying to hide from you. The High Priestess also represents sacred knowledge and spiritual boundaries. Part of what these two individuals violated was your spiritual space. As a Pisces, you have a rich inner world, a deep spiritual life, a connection to realms beyond the physical. These people may have been fascinated by this aspect of you, but not in a respectful way. They wanted to access your spiritual gifts and insights for their own benefit without honoring the sacred nature of what you were sharing. I am also picking up that the High Priestess is highlighting a particular gift you have that these people tried to exploit, which is your ability to see the potential in others, to see the best in people. Your natural inclination is to look beneath the surface and find the light in everyone. These two individuals knew this about you, and they used it against you. They counted on you seeing their potential rather than their reality, focusing on who they could be rather than who they were actually showing up as. The High Priestess is sending you a powerful message moving forward. Trust your intuition completely and without question. When you get that gut feeling about someone, honor it immediately. Do not wait for logical proof or concrete evidence. Your intuitive knowing is valid and real and protective. The High Priestess is your inner guardian, and she has been trying to protect you all along. Now you are finally at a point where you can hear her clearly and act on her guidance without second-guessing yourself. Another layer of the High Priestess that is relevant here is about silence and observation. These people may have tried to get you to share more than you were comfortable sharing, to reveal things about yourself that you normally keep private. The High Priestess is reminding you that you do not owe anyone access to your inner world, your private thoughts, your spiritual experiences. Part of protecting your energy moving forward is being more discerning about what you share and with whom. The High Priestess is also indicating that there may still be things about these two people and their intentions that you do not fully know yet. The truth has been hidden, but it is beginning to emerge now. You may receive more information or insights about what was really going on, either through your own intuition or through external confirmation. The High Priestess promises that what was done in darkness will come to light. Let me pull another card because the story is getting clearer now about exactly what you are breaking free from. The Devil card just landed in your reading, and wow, this confirms so much about the nature of these connections. The Devil represents bondage, addiction, unhealthy attachments, and toxic patterns. What this card is revealing is that the relationships you had with these two people from your past were not just casual friendships or connections that naturally faded. These were energetic chains, binding ties that kept you locked into patterns that were detrimental to your spiritual growth and personal well-being. The Devil appears when we are dealing with situations that have a compulsive quality to them, where we feel trapped even though logically we know we should walk away. I am getting the strong sense that even when you recognized these relationships were not healthy, there was something that kept pulling you back in or kept you from completely severing the ties. The Devil is showing me that these two individuals knew exactly how to hook into your psychology and your emotions in ways that made it difficult for you to break free cleanly. Here is what the Devil is revealing about their tactics. They likely created situations where you felt obligated to them, indebted in some way. Maybe they did you favors that came with invisible strings attached. Maybe they shared secrets with you that made you feel like you had to maintain the connection out of loyalty. Maybe they positioned themselves as victims who desperately needed your help and made you feel guilty for even thinking about stepping back. The Devil shows me that these were manipulation tactics designed to keep you bound to them. The devil also represents materialism and using others for personal gain. These two people viewed you as a resource to be exploited rather than a person to be valued. Everything they did in relation to you was ultimately self-serving. They calculated what they could get from knowing you, from being in your space, from having access to your energy and your network and your resources. The devil confirms that there was very little genuine care or affection in how they related to you. You were a means to an end. What makes the devil particularly significant in this reading is that this card also represents illusions and false appearances. These people presented themselves as one thing while being something completely different underneath. They wore masks that hid their true nature. They created illusions of friendship, of caring, of mutual benefit, when the reality was that the relationship was entirely one-sided. The devil is the master of making wrong look right, making toxic look normal, making bondage look like connection. I am also picking up through the devil that there may have been elements of jealousy, possessiveness, or control in how these people related to you. The devil can indicate someone who wants to own or control another person. They may have become upset when you spent time with other people, when you succeeded in areas they had not, when you started to pull away or create boundaries. The devil shows me that these individuals had an unhealthy level of attachment to you that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with what you provided for them. The devil is also connected to shadow aspects and bringing darkness to light. What this card is telling me is that these two people represented your shadow teachers. They showed up to teach you about your own patterns of people-pleasing, of sacrificing yourself for others, of ignoring red flags because you wanted to believe the best about people. The devil highlights where we give our power away, and these relationships showed you exactly where and how you were doing that. Another critical aspect of the devil is that this card represents breaking free from bondage and illusion. The people in the traditional devil card are chained, but the chains are loose. They could remove them if they chose to. This is the universe telling you that you have always had the power to break free from these toxic connections. The chains were only as strong as you believed them to be. And now you are finally recognizing that you can simply step out of those chains and walk away. The devil is also revealing something about the karmic nature of these connections. These two people will face consequences for how they treated you. The devil is a card of karmic debt, and what goes around comes around. They used you, drained you, took advantage of your good nature, and the universe keeps perfect accounts. They will experience their own versions of bondage and restriction as a direct result of how they chose to operate in the world. You do not need to do anything to make this happen. Karma is already in motion. Ready? What the devil is emphasizing is that these were not light, casual connections. These were heavy, dense, energetic bonds that have been weighing you down and holding you back from your highest path. Part of why you may have felt stuck in certain areas of your life is because so much of your energy was tied up in these toxic dynamics. The devil shows me that breaking these bonds is going to free up tremendous amounts of energy that you can now redirect toward your own dreams and goals. The devil is also warning you to watch for any attempts these people might make to reestablish connection. People who operate from devil energy often try to hoover you back in when they sense you are truly breaking free. They might suddenly reach out with apologies, with emergencies, with promises that things will be different. The devil is telling you to be strong and hold your boundaries because those attempts to reconnect are just more of the same manipulation in a different package. Let me pull the next card because what comes through next will show you more about your journey of liberation from these ties. The Moon card has appeared, and this is deeply significant for you as a Pisces. The Moon represents illusion, confusion, hidden enemies, and things that are not as they seem. What the Moon is revealing is that these two people from your past operated in the shadows and under the cover of deception. Nothing about your connections with them was straightforward or honest. There were always hidden layers, ulterior motives, secrets being kept from you. The Moon is showing me that these individuals deliberately created confusion around their intentions and their behavior. They would say one thing and do another. They would make promises they had no intention of keeping. They would shift their stories depending on what served them in the moment. The moon indicates that you were navigating through fog in these relationships, never quite able to see clearly what was really happening because they made sure to keep things murky and ambiguous. What is particularly painful about the moon appearing here is that this card suggests these people played on your fears and insecurities. The moon is connected to our deepest anxieties and subconscious wounds. Somehow, these two individuals figured out what your vulnerable points were, and they pressed on those wounds when it served their purposes. They may have triggered your fear of abandonment, your fear of not being good enough, your fear of being too much or too sensitive. And they did this deliberately to keep you off balance and easier to manipulate. The moon also represents illusions and false projections. I am seeing that you may have been projecting onto these people qualities and intentions they never actually possessed. The moon shows me that you were seeing a reflection of your own goodness and assuming they shared those values when in reality they were just mirrors showing you what you wanted to see. This is not your fault. This is what the moon does. It creates illusions that can be very convincing, especially to someone with your empathic and trusting nature. Another aspect of the moon that is coming through strongly is about cycles and phases. These relationships likely went through cycles where things would be good for a while and then suddenly turn difficult or draining. Just like the moon waxes and wanes, these connections had a tidal quality to them. The moon is showing me that this cyclical pattern was part of how they kept you hooked. Every time things would get bad enough that you considered walking away, they would shift into a better phase and give you just enough positive reinforcement to make you stay. The moon is also deeply connected to intuition and psychic awareness, which ties back to the High Priestess we saw earlier. What the moon is emphasizing is that navigating these deceptive relationships required you to develop your intuitive abilities to a much higher level. You had to learn to sense what was real versus what was illusion, to feel into the energy beneath people's words, to trust your gut even when the surface seemed fine. The moon has been training you in discernment. I am also picking up through the moon that there may have been elements of these relationships that felt almost dreamlike or surreal. Maybe there were times when you questioned your own memory or perception of events. Maybe these people would deny things they said or did, making you feel like you were going crazy or being too sensitive. The moon can indicate gaslighting and manipulation of someone's sense of reality. These two individuals may have twisted the truth so often that you started to doubt your own experiences. The moon is revealing that these people are what I would call hidden enemies. They presented as friends or allies, but were actually working against your best interests. The moon shows me that they may have even actively undermined you in ways you are not fully aware of yet. They may have talked behind your back, sabotaged opportunities for you, or worked to damage your reputation while maintaining a friendly facade to your face. What is powerful about the moon appearing at this point in the reading is that this card represents the darkness before the dawn. The moon is the card that comes right before the sun in the tarot deck. This means you are in the final phase of this difficult cycle. You are about to break through the illusions and confusion into crystal clarity and truth. The moon promises that what has been hidden will be revealed, what has been confusing will become clear, and you will finally see these people and these situations for exactly what they were. The moon is also encouraging you to trust your dreams and your subconscious messages. You may receive clarity about these past situations through dreams, through sudden insights, or through your intuitive knowing. The moon works through the subconscious realm to bring information to your awareness. Pay attention to what comes up for you in quiet moments, in meditation, in that space between waking and sleeping. Important truths are surfacing now. Let me pull another card because we need to see what happens next in your journey of breaking free from these toxic ties. Six of Swords just came through, and this is absolutely perfect. The Six of Swords is the card of transition, of moving away from troubled waters toward calmer shores. This card represents a journey of leaving behind what no longer serves you and moving towards something better. What the Six of Swords is confirming is that you are breaking free. You are moving on from these toxic connections, and you are heading toward a much better place emotionally and spiritually. The Six of Swords shows me that this process of breaking free has required you to make some difficult decisions. You have had to acknowledge some painful truths about these people and about the nature of your relationships with them. You have had to accept that they were not who you thought they were and that the connections were not what you hoped they would be. The Six of Swords tells me that acceptance has been a crucial part of your liberation process. You cannot move away from something until you fully accept what it is. What I find really interesting about the Six of Swords appearing here is that this card often represents a journey that is assisted by a guide or helper. In your case, I believe that guide has been your own higher self, your spirit guides, and your growing intuitive awareness. You have not been alone in this process of breaking free, even though it may have felt lonely at times. The universe has been supporting you, sending you signs and synchronicities, bringing you information and insights exactly when you needed them. The Six of Swords is also about carrying lessons with you as you move forward. You are not leaving these experiences behind in the sense of forgetting about them or pretending they never happened. You are integrating the wisdom you gained from these painful connections and bringing that wisdom with you into your future. The Six of Swords shows me that you are fundamentally changed by what you have been through, and that change is ultimately positive, even though the process was difficult. Another aspect of the Six of Swords that is relevant here is about mental clarity and objective perspective. This card suggests you are finally able to think clearly about these situations without being clouded by emotion or illusion. The fog has lifted. You can see the patterns clearly now. You understand what was really happening. This mental clarity is crucial for making sure you do not repeat these patterns in the future. The Six of Swords is also telling me that the actual process of breaking free may have been more gradual than sudden. This was not necessarily a dramatic, explosive ending, but rather a quiet moving away, a gentle but firm severing of ties. You may have slowly reduced contact, created more boundaries, stopped being as available or as giving. The Six of Swords represents this kind of measured, intentional withdrawal from a situation. I am picking up through the Six of Swords that the journey ahead is going to be so much better than where you have been. Calmer waters are ahead. Peace is coming. The constant drama and draining dynamics are being left behind. The Six of Swords promises that you are moving toward a chapter of your life that is more aligned with your true self and your authentic needs. The Six of Swords is also emphasizing that this transition requires you to keep your eyes forward. Do not keep looking back at these people or these situations, trying to understand every detail or make sense of their behavior. The Six of Swords tells me that not everything needs to be fully understood or resolved. Sometimes we simply need to accept that something was not healthy and move on. The boat is moving forward and you need to let it carry you to the other shore without constantly looking back at where you have been. Let me pull the next card to see what else the universe wants you to know about this journey of liberation. Knight of Swords has appeared, and this energy is completely different from what we have been seeing so far. The Knight of Swords represents swift action, cutting through illusions, speaking truth, and charging forward with clarity and purpose. What this card is telling me is that you are entering a phase where you are going to be much more direct and assertive about protecting your energy and maintaining your boundaries. The Knight of Swords is the part of you that is done with manipulation, done with people-pleasing, done with allowing others to take advantage of your good nature. This Knight does not mince words or worry about hurting people's feelings when truth needs to be spoken. The Knight of Swords is showing me that you are developing a much sharper edge when it comes to identifying and cutting off energy vampires. What I love about the Knight of Swords appearing in your reading is that this card represents mental clarity and the courage to act on that clarity. You are not just understanding intellectually that these two people were bad for you. You are actually taking concrete action to remove them from your energy field. The Knight of Swords is swift and decisive. There is no hesitation, no second guessing, no looking back. The Knight of Swords is also revealing that you are becoming much more skilled at seeing through deception quickly. where you might have given people the benefit of the doubt in the past, where you might have made excuses for red flag behavior. The Knight of Swords sees the truth immediately and acts on it. This is a huge evolution in your energy, and it is going to protect you from getting into similar situations in the future. I am also picking up through the Knight of Swords that you may be speaking your truth about what happened with these two people. Maybe you are finally telling others what you experienced, setting the record straight, or simply being honest about why you are no longer in contact with them. The Knight of Swords does not hide or minimize truth for the sake of keeping peace. This knight speaks directly and honestly. The Knight of Swords can also represent cutting cords and severing energetic attachments. I am seeing that you are actively working to clear your energy field of any remaining ties to these individuals. Whether you are doing this through meditation, energy work, or simply through your strong intention and willpower, the Knight of Swords shows me that you are successfully removing their influence from your space. Another aspect of the Knight of Swords is about moving forward quickly once a decision has been made. You are not going to drag this out or get stuck in processing mode forever. The Knight of Swords makes a decision and then acts on it immediately. This is the energy you are embodying now. You have decided these connections need to end, and you are making that happen swiftly and completely. The Knight of Swords is also warning you that as you take this strong stance, these two people may not like it. They may react negatively to your boundaries or your refusal to continue engaging with them. The Knight of Swords says, stand firm anyway. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to protect your own peace and energy. Let me pull another card because we are getting close to understanding the complete picture of your liberation. Wheel of Fortune has appeared, and this is such an important card in your reading. The Wheel of Fortune represents karma, cycles, destiny, and the natural turning of life's circumstances. What this card is confirming is that everything that has happened with these two people from your past is part of a larger karmic cycle that is now completing. The Wheel of Fortune is telling me that these connections were destined to happen so you could learn specific lessons about boundaries, self-worth, and protecting your energy. As painful as the experiences were, they were necessary for your soul's evolution. The Wheel of Fortune shows me that you signed up for these lessons on a soul level before you even came into this lifetime. What is really powerful about the Wheel of Fortune appearing here is that this card represents a major turning point. The wheel is turning in your favor now. The cycle of being taken advantage of is ending. The cycle of attracting energy vampires is ending. The cycle of ignoring your intuition is ending. A new cycle is beginning where you operate from a place of much greater wisdom and self-protection. The Wheel of Fortune is also emphasizing the karmic consequences these two people will face for their actions. What goes around comes around. The wheel turns for everyone. They took advantage of your kindness and generosity, and the universe will make sure they understand what that feels like from the other side. This is not about revenge or hoping bad things happen to them. This is simply about the natural law of karma, ensuring that everyone experiences the consequences of their choices. I am picking up through the Wheel of Fortune that you may already be seeing signs of this karma playing out. Maybe you have heard through mutual connections that these people are struggling in some way. Maybe you have noticed that the things they tried to build using your energy are not working out for them. The Wheel of Fortune assures you that justice is being served even if you do not see every detail of how it unfolds. The Wheel of Fortune is also about the cycles of life and understanding that nothing stays the same forever. These relationships had their time in your life, and now that time has passed. The wheel keeps turning and you keep evolving. The Wheel of Fortune tells me that holding on to any resentment or anger toward these people only keeps you attached to the old cycle. The way to fully step into the new cycle is through forgiveness, not for their benefit, but for your own liberation. Another layer of the Wheel of Fortune is about luck and good fortune. This card is actually very positive in terms of what is coming for you. As you clear these toxic connections from your life, you are making space for genuinely supportive and loving people to enter. The Wheel of Fortune promises that your luck is changing, that opportunities you could not access while you were tied to these draining relationships are now becoming available. Let me pull the next card because we are close to completing this reading, and I want to make sure you get all the messages the universe has for you today. Temperance has appeared, and this is a beautiful card to see at this point in your reading. Temperance represents balance, healing, integration, and the blending of different aspects of yourself into a harmonious whole. What Temperance is telling me is that as you break free from these toxic connections, you are entering a phase of deep healing and rebalancing. Temperance is the angel card in the tarot deck, representing divine guidance and spiritual support. The universe is letting you know that you are being held and supported as you move through this transition. You are not alone in this healing process. Your angels and guides are actively helping you restore your energy and find your center again. What I find really beautiful about Temperance appearing here is that this card represents the middle path. You are not swinging to extremes of being too open and trusting or too closed off and suspicious. Temperance shows me that you are finding the balanced approach where you can remain open-hearted while also being discerning and protective of your energy. This is true wisdom. Temperance is also about patience and allowing things to unfold in their own time. The healing from these toxic connections is not going to happen overnight. Temperance asks you to be patient with yourself as you process what happened and integrate the lessons. There is no rush. Take all the time you need to fully restore your peace and balance. I am picking up through Temperance that you may be drawn to healing practices or modalities that help you clear and balance your energy. Maybe meditation, energy work, time in nature, creative expression, or spiritual practices. Temperance is encouraging you to explore what helps you feel most centered and balanced, and to make those practices a regular part of your life. Temperance is also revealing that part of your healing involves integrating different aspects of your experience. The part of you that is angry about being used needs to be acknowledged and honored. The part of you that feels sad about the loss of what you thought those relationships were needs space to grieve. The part of you that is relieved to be free needs to be celebrated. Temperance shows me that all of these feelings can coexist and be integrated into your wholeness. Another aspect of Temperance is about alchemy and transformation. You are literally transforming the pain of these experiences into wisdom and strength. Temperance is the alchemist who turns lead into gold, and you are doing that inner alchemy right now. What was heavy and toxic is being transmuted into light and understanding. Temperance is also sending you a message about future relationships. As you heal and balance, you will naturally attract people who match your new vibration. The relationships you form going forward will be based on mutual respect, genuine care, and balanced exchange. Temperance promises that you do not have to settle for less than you deserve ever again. This reading has revealed so much about your journey of breaking free from these two people from your past who only wanted to take advantage of you. The cards have confirmed that your intuition was correct about them, that breaking free was absolutely necessary, and that you are moving into a much better chapter of your life. The energy around you right now is one of liberation, clarity, and new beginnings. You are not the same person who first connected with these individuals. You have grown tremendously through these experiences, even though they were painful. Your ability to recognize manipulation, to trust your intuition, to set firm boundaries, and to protect your energy has been strengthened in ways that will serve you for the rest of your life. Remember that these two people do not deserve any more of your energy or attention. They had their chance to be genuine friends or connections, and they chose to exploit your kindness instead. That says everything about their character and nothing about yours. Your compassion and willingness to help others are beautiful qualities that should be celebrated, not taken advantage of. As you continue to move forward, trust that the universe has your back. The karmic wheel is turning and justice is being served. You do not need to do anything to make these people face consequences for their actions. That is being handled on a cosmic level. Your only job is to focus on your own healing, your own growth, and your own beautiful future. The lessons you have learned from these experiences are priceless. You now understand that not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. You know how to spot the signs of someone who is more interested in what you can do for them than in who you are as a person. You have developed the courage to walk away from situations that drain you, even when walking away is difficult. These are wisdom lessons that many people never learn. As you step into this new chapter, be gentle with yourself. Healing takes time, and that is okay. Celebrate the fact that you had the strength to recognize what was happening and to choose yourself over maintaining connections that were harming you. That takes tremendous courage, and you should be proud of yourself for that. Know that the people who are meant to be in your life, the genuine connections, the real friendships, the authentic love, all of that is on its way to you now that you have cleared out the toxic energy. Nature abhors a vacuum, and as you release what no longer serves you, the universe rushes in to fill that space with blessings. Thank you for allowing me to share this reading with you today. I hope it has brought you clarity, confirmation, and peace about the decisions you are making regarding these connections from your past. Trust yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be on your journey. Better days are ahead, and you are so ready for them.